Hey, what's up guys? Alright, I know I made a video, one of the first videos I made about how JB Hunt pays, and every now and then I get comments from some truck drivers that say that JB Hunt doesn't pay well, and I've really covered this topic in other videos. The reason I want to cover it again is because I know there are some new drivers out there that may be misled by some of the things some truck drivers say. And I also know that there are some people that are new to the channel. So every now and then I want to point out things that I believe are going to benefit you guys, especially for those of you that are just coming into the industry. For those that have been in the industry, I'm sure they kind of know how the industry works. But for those of you guys that are just coming into the industry, you must understand that when you hear some drivers say, oh, that company doesn't pay well, this company is the company you should work for, make sure that you know exactly all the things involved. Because if you don't do your research, if you don't know what the company needs or what is involved in the job, what will end up happening is you will start moving from one job to another and doing that job hopping thing, and you don't want to be doing that. So before you think of moving from one company to another, make sure you take your time, do your research. If you have to fill in an application and go for an interview, ask questions from the managers, the drivers that work with the company. You'll have a better understanding of what the job entails and how much you expect to bring home or to make. So some of the things that are important that you need to remember is, one, location matters. Where you live matters. I live here in Hazlet. Those numbers you see are numbers based out of Hazlet. They are going to be different from a driver that is in Northern California, because the cost of living is different, so companies tend to pay differently. It's going to depend on the demand. If a certain area has a lot of trucking jobs and a lot of drivers, that may be something that will affect your pay. It's going to depend on what you do. I am surprised that some of the guys that have been in the industry for some time still don't know how to make the right comparison. So I am a local driver. All I do is drop and hooks. You find somebody that is an over-the-road driver comparing themselves with me, or you may find somebody that hauls cars, or somebody that does LTL, or somebody that does car hauling or flatbed, comparing themselves with somebody that just does drop and hook. That's not the right comparison. So what is involved in the job also matters. Like I can see right here where I'm seated, there's a guy just delivering fuel here at the pilot. That guy is going to be paid different than somebody that is working intermodal just doing drop and hooks. Somebody that is in food service is going to be paid different than somebody that is just driving and just getting live loads or unloads without touching the freight. So there are differences, and it's important for you to make sure that when a driver says, oh, the other company pays more, that you make sure that you are making the comparison right. The other thing is, there are companies where you may be able to make more money without doing a lot of work. One of the things you have to understand is some of those companies are hard to get into, because when drivers get in there, they don't want to leave because they know that it's hard getting into. So even though those guys make a lot of money, getting into that company can be hard. So there are many things really that play a part in you figuring out what makes sense for you. My advice is, go onto websites like Career Builder, Indeed, what is it? Is it called Glassdoor, Glass something? Where they post, look for jobs on sites where they post jobs, and look in your area and start comparing those jobs. Because what you will realize is that depending on what you want to do, you'll learn about how much you will be paid in your area depending on what you want to do. If you make the right comparison, JB Hunt pays competitively. They pay as good as the other companies in their category in the areas where you live. So I don't want you guys that are just coming into the industry to be misled by some of the drivers just because they say such and such a company doesn't pay well. And I'm not just talking about JB Hunt. They may be saying that compared, maybe they're talking bad about another company. What I'm saying is make your own decisions, make your own research. Just go on websites. If you go through jobs and look at jobs and in your area, you will get a feel of how much you are being paid, if it makes sense or if you are being underpaid. And if you find that you are being underpaid, then you can move to another company. Or if you want to make more money, you can decide and say, okay, I've just been doing drop and hooks, I need to make more money, I'm gonna go haul cars because it pays more. Then you prepare yourself to do more work, but be rewarded for that work. Just don't think that you're gonna go to a company that just does drop and hooks and then they're going to pay you a lot of money. It's all going to come back to how much work are you willing to do for you to make that amount of money. So there are always sacrifices you have to make. Again, as I said, I know I have talked about this in other videos, but I needed to say it again because there are people that are new to the channel and there are people that are just coming into the industry, and I don't want you guys to be misled by other drivers. Most of the drivers out there really do a good job to give you the right information, but there are some drivers that will just give you information that is not right. I've been in the industry for some time, and so I know how this industry works, and every driver decides what they are willing to sacrifice. Are you willing to sacrifice the money for something else? Are you willing to do something more for the amount of money you want to earn? It's all about what you want to do and how much you want to earn. So I just wanted to point that out so that you guys are not misled by some of these other drivers or some of the comments these guys leave. So just make sure that you are looking at all the whole thing as a nice playing field. Again, as I said, there are companies out there that really pay well, but getting into those companies is also a challenge because the drivers that are in those companies are not going anywhere because they know what a good deal they have. But all you have to do is you just have to continue trying, always check those websites. If anything comes up, apply. That's what I do. I'm not afraid to let you know about that because I know which companies I'm looking at and which companies I would love to get into, and so I always go out there and look to those companies. Just because I look somewhere else doesn't mean that JB Hunt is a bad company. So I want you to understand that JB Hunt in its category and what you do is competitive. Also, as I've said before, JB Hunt has other areas where they also do touch freight, where they will pay you a lot of money to touch that freight. They have a dollar general accounts, I think, where drivers make 80,000, 90,000. If you want to do that, JB Hunt has those opportunities. So it's all about what you want to do and what you are willing to sacrifice. I hope that helps.